I will kind of officially get us started here a little bit. So welcome everybody. We kind of have a mix of folks here. We have some NAEOP leadership and board members who are here to just introduce ourselves and be able to kind of hopefully answer questions. You guys can really put us through the ringer here. And hopefully we have a bunch of newcomers. The group isn't too huge, so hopefully everybody has a chance to maybe just introduce themselves and say where they're from, and we can start connecting. I want to take a quick second, and particularly for some of the new folks here, to kind of introduce you to what this series kind of is or is about. So I'm going to quickly share my screen here. My name is Matt Bezick, by the way. I'm the Executive Director of the Oregon Trio Association, and I serve as the Tech and Communications Chair for the NAEOP board. So I kind of help facilitate some of this stuff. So you are part of kind of this NAEOP Professional Development Series. We try to do a call every single month covering a variety of different professional development topics. This is our final one for the year of 2022. So on our NAEOP website here, you can actually go back. These are all recorded. So you can kind of go back and look through a lot of the topics and things that we've covered so far from the past year, as well as the schedule for this upcoming year of kind of different topics we're going to be covering. So this is a really great way on a monthly basis just to check in with the region and to just kind of develop, learn more how to do your job better, learn different aspects of a lot of technology stuff. We do kind of a bi-monthly tech talk, as well as just do some networking with different folks. So with that, I'm going to just kind of stop the share here and pass it over. Maybe I'm going to start with, Jeff just came in. Well, maybe I'm just going to go popcorn around. Let's start with some of the NAEOP board members here, just to kind of introduce yourself and your role on the board. Christine, you're unmuted. That means you guys go first.
Oh, I guess so. My name's Christine Reel. I'm the past president of Oregon Trio Association, and I am an SSS director at Clatsop Community College in Astoria, Oregon, which is on the mouth of the Columbia. And let's see, what else did you want? Oh, I'm the committee chair for NAEOP peer review. So that is who I am. But mainly I'm here as the SSS director. So.
I can go ahead and go next if that's helpful. I'm Victoria Smith. I am the current immediate past president of the NAEOP board. Previously, I have sat in the role of Alaska State president a couple of times. I've been in the role of alumni partner on the board. And so it is my distinct pleasure to be hailing from Fairbanks, Alaska. And that's why I've got the hoodie on. It's a little chilly today. It's only like 10 above right now. So looking forward to connecting with new professionals. Been in this work for a real long time, a Trio alum of 3 different programs from Centralia, Washington, and then up here in Fairbanks for Upward Bound Math Science, and then Student Support Services. So definitely kind of immersed in the Trio world and excited to be in a leadership role on the board, but also to hopefully be as accessible to you all as possible. And I will pass it over to my colleague, Jeff, because he is the best.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. Nice to see all these new faces. Jeff Garner, he, him pronouns, calling in from Portland, Oregon, where it's 45 degrees. I see the Aurora Borealis, Chase. I know Alaska is like 20 degrees out right now. Hope you all are staying warm. Y'all have a bunch of warm hearts being in Trio. I love it. So I'm current president. The road was well paved by Victoria as the past president of NAEOP. I've been in my role as a director of talent search and now an Upward Bound program here in the county. Multnomah Education Service District is my organization for 15 fun-filled years. And I'm calling in from one of my favorite schools that I serve students at. It's called Helen's View. It's an alternative school near the airport in Portland. If there's anything I can do, if I can help, give a little background on some recent history of the organization, happy to do that. I'll put my email in the chat. email me and let me know your questions and I'll try to get them answered, or I'll defer to any of the awesome people on here for doing what I don't know. We can lean on each other in this org because we're all learning and friends. Hi, Natasha. It's good to see you're on this call. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Natasha. Thank you for being here.
Yes, no, it's my pleasure.
Awesome. I'll shoot an email out to you today. Do I pass it over to, I'm thinking, is Dina here? How about Josh Engler?
Hi, everyone. My name is Josh Engler. I'm an educational specialist for the Boise State University TRIO Upward Bound program. I am a past president of the Idaho Association of TRIO Professionals and a past president of our regional association, and I currently serve as government relations chair for our association. And I'm happy to be here, and thank you all for being here as well, too. And I will popcorn over to Chris.
Hello, everybody. Chris Mahan of OTA president, and been in TRIO for probably 10 years as an alumni as well as a professional. I'm joined with my awesome colleague here. No, I gotta turn the camera on. Let me turn the camera on. But Andrea, there you go.
I'm Andrea. I'm working at Claxon Community College as well with the TRIO pre-college programs and primarily serving Astoria high school students. I'm actually a TRIO alumni as well, and my TRIO advisor is now my boss. So super cool to be a part of the team. I have a year under my belt now, and just really enjoying being an advisor with TRIO.
And with that said, how about Shane? I haven't seen you in a while, Shane. Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me. I'm Shane. I'm a new advisor over here at Southern Oregon University. Chris and I kind of switched spots to a degree, gave a metaphorical high five as he went up to Astoria and I came down to Southern Oregon. So hey, Andrea, Matt, Christine, nice to see you all. And thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. I look forward to learning a lot from this program.
Yeah, at this stage, we might just open up to the new folks. Just kind of introduce your name, what role you have, and the institution you work with, and what TRIO program, some of that stuff. So, and feel free to just pick a name and kind of popcorn around. If you forgot who hasn't gone and left, we'll do our best to monitor it for you.
I choose Chase because he has an Aurora background.
Yes, I have this background. I'm actually here on the Oregon coast in Coos Bay, Southwestern Oregon Community College. I'm pretty fresh advisor, but I'm a TRIO alum as well. So love and learning, and that's, I guess, why I'm here. Yeah. And then popcorning off to Gloria. Did Gloria speak yet?
Hi, my name is Gloria Natividad de Conley. I'm originally from Peru, and I got a job recently here as an academic counselor in TRIO at the University of Idaho. So I'm very glad to learn from all of you because I think you have a lot of experience, so then I can learn from you. Thank you for inviting me. Okay, now maybe, I don't know, Claribel?
Hi, so my name is Claribel or Claribel, whichever one I respond to. The only one I don't respond to is Maribel. No, that's just wrong. So I am a TRIO success coach. I started back in March here at Chemeketa Community College. So I do work, Angela's my boss. So I've heard really awesome things about her and I've just been enjoying it so far here. So Yeah, and I'm also a TRIO alumni. So I was first part of the camp program my first year at Chemeketa, and then I switched over to TRIO. And with the help of TRIO, I was able to graduate on the 2-year time frame that I wanted to graduate. And then I transferred over to Western Oregon University to finish my bachelor's there. And I was also part of the student enrichment program at Western Oregon. So it was such an easy transition, and I'm glad, that it's full circle and I came back to my community. So I don't know. I see part of my maiden name, so I think Dana hasn't spoke yet.
Hello, my name is Dana, and I also, well, in Spanish, it's Dana, yeah, but I mainly go by Dana. And I'm an educational advisor for the TRIO Student Enrichment Program here at Western Oregon University. So, Claribel, it's so cool to kind of hear your experience and how it's helped you along. And I've been in this role for 6 months now. So, very excited to be a part of this community. And then I'll pass it on over to Jessica.
So sorry, I was just muted. You'd think I get the hang of this being on Zoom for like 2 years. Hi, I'm Jessica, she, her. I am in the Pacific Northwest, Bellingham at Bellingham Technical College. I just got hired on 3 months ago. I'm just the project assistant, but I'm really excited to be here. I'm also a TRIO alum. Being in Upward Bound all through high school and then joining TRIO SSS when I went to community college, took a break, and I'm just really happy to be back with the TRIO family any way that I can be. So, yeah. I forgot I needed popcorn off. Janice.
Hi, how are you? So I'll introduce myself. I'm Janice Rikovich. I work with Gloria at the University of Idaho. I got hired here in August, and so I've been really enjoying working with the TRIO students, and I'm part of the Student Success Center here at the U of I, and so it's a really incredible team that we're all on the floor and easy to refer people to any of the resources that we have. And I was at the conference in Eugene, so I might have met some of you over at the conference. So that was wonderful. But yes, I'm very much enjoying my role here, enjoying working with Gloria. We both came on pretty close to each other, just a few months apart. So we're kind of learning together and building a strong team for the University of Idaho. And I'm not sure who hasn't gone yet. I'm not sure.
I don't think Natasha's gone, or Travis,
Okay,
or Price, or Maria.
Natasha sounds great. Natasha, would you want to go next?
Absolutely, guys. Hello, my name is Natasha Lewis, and my pronouns are she and her. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. I'm so glad that I have an opportunity to be in this room. I've always kind of admire you guys. I've seen Josh and Christine and all of you guys at the conferences, and I was just like, wow, what great leaders. And also so proud to see a lot of TRIO alum, and that just really warms my heart, tells me that the program works. I've been in TRIO ever since I was in my associate's program. I started off as a work study, believe it or not, and I've held every single position except student. I've been work study, chaperone, TA, teacher, manager, and I was a director for the Upward Bound program. Peninsula College was my home, my institution, and I've gotten my associate's and bachelor's degree through Peninsula College, and I also ended up getting a master's degree through WGU in management and leadership. And so, now that I have some time and not a full-time student as well as a full-time employee, a TRIO employee, I would love to just serve on the board with NAEOP. I want you guys to know that, this position as treasurer that I was elected to is going to help me in the new program that I was selected in, which is talent search at Highline. And also, I believe that being on the board would help me to cultivate my professional development in activism when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and also appreciative models as far as advising and leadership. So yeah, I am glad to be here, and I will popcorn to Tracy. Was it Tracy? Tracy, have you gone? Or wait, Price. Price. Is it Price?
Well,
I haven't gone either, so I'll go.
Luana.
My name is Luana Stevens. I am the office coordinator for TRIO Student Support Services at Southern Oregon University in Southern Oregon. And I've been here about 3 years, and I love to help people. So that's why I'm here, so I can learn more about NAEOP. And I work with Jane Robinson, and I used to work with Chris Mahan. And I'll pass it off to Sharon Price.
Hi, my name is Sharon Price, and I'm with Western Oregon University, and I'm the new office program coordinator for, I've been here about a month, so I'm brand new.
Welcome.
Thank you, and I will hand it over to Travis.
Hello, everybody. I'm Travis. I am also with Western Oregon University. I've been in this position about 2 months now, but have been in higher ed in various roles for, the past 6 years or so.
Fantastic. Welcome, Travis. I think Maria might be the only one left. I don't know.
Yeah, hi. I'm Maria Sanders. I'm with SSS at Central Washington University. I've been in this role for about 6 months. I've been at Central for a really long time, but it was mostly as a faculty member. And a year ago today was my last day of being a faculty member for 15 years. So because I wanted to be an advisor, that was where my heart was pulled. And specifically, I wanted to work with a program like TRIO. So that's where I am. And I'm the program support supervisor, as well as I have a caseload of advisees. So I'm sort of a catch-all person. So I'm learning, I cannot believe how much I've learned in 6 months, and also how much more I need to learn. So I really appreciate this. Thanks, everybody. I think I was the last one. Was there anybody else?
I can go. Adriana Villafan, Heritage University, TRIO SSS. I am a year and 4 months in. And this is already the best job I've ever had. Extremely also motivated by all of our NAEOP leaders who we get to see at our conferences. I actually just recently came back from the Executive Leadership Institute at Princeton University. And so I am eager and excited to learn from you all and also be able to contribute someday. So thank you all.
All right, if anybody else is still out there, speak now or later, that's fine too. But at this point, we don't have like a prepared presentation or PowerPoint. We didn't want to just like cram things into your face that you maybe know or don't know. It's very much just like ask away, right? There's people at all levels of TRIO, and we're just here to try to hopefully between all of us that are here representing NAEOP that we can find some good answers or connect you to the right people who know those answers. That's one of the best part of, we're not going to pretend any of us to actually know all this stuff, but we tend to at least know who probably knows. And that's the beautiful facade of being in these leadership roles. So whether it's about larger TRIO structures, whether that's COE, Council for Opportunity and Education, NAEOP, state questions, funding questions or actual like boots on the ground, like advising questions, APR management, like literally anything is open. Just start fire away, either in the chat or just on camera. So with that, I'm going to mute.
If you could only go to one, or for a newbie, if there was one training event or one conference that you could suggest a newbie should go to, which one would it be? Or two, maybe, I don't know, whatever's appropriate.
Ooh, that's a good question. Do you mean like TRIO specific, or do you mean like within the realm of higher education?
TRIO specific, please.
Oh, okay. Right on. Well, I would say a newbie would probably be best served by attending our regional conference first. The other thing I would say that would be like a great opportunity would be to have, if you have a new person in your office or multiple new people in your office, to actually do a peer review. Because that really immerses you. We have a peer review program, and maybe I'll let Christine talk a little bit about that. If you don't already know about it, Shane, because it really gets into the nitty gritty of compliance and regulations and legislation that guide our programs. And I feel like that is the core foundation of the work that we do. Certainly the work we do is, interacting with students, but if we don't do the regs and legs stuff right, then we don't keep the money coming in. So I would say a combination of those two things to start out. And then I would say once they have gone to a NAEOP conference, it's a little easier to feel like you're not drowning at a COE national conference. Because those conferences can be like 2,000 people and it's pretty intimidating. And sometimes people dress up like real fancy. It's like maybe not quite as casual as we keep it in the PNW. You can see I'm wearing my hoodie right now, but I'm also warm and comfortable. So yeah, it might be nice to kind of ease them into that and immerse them in the region first and the work that we do, and then maybe a COE conference. But Christine, do you mind telling us a little bit about what peer review is and how we organize that?
And then Victoria, could you answer what you stated at first? What type of regional conference?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Luana. The regional conference that we have, so there was one in Eugene, and that's for NAEOP. That's the Northwest Association of Educational Opportunity Programs. So the board members that are in the room with you right now, we had our regional conference in Eugene. Next year will be Boise, Idaho. And then the year after that, we're going to be in Fairbanks, Anchorage, Alaska. So do stay in TRIO, not just because we need you and we love you, but also because you can come to Alaska in a couple of years.
Awesome. Thank you.
Do we still talk about peer review? Would that be helpful? Okay. So peer review is kind of unique to NAEOP, our regional organization. And so a peer review, you can ask to have folks come who have been, most of our reviewers have been in TRIO a bit. A lot of us are directors. Some of us are other staff in the TRIO program. But we try to have, we don't always have, but we have a good handle on all the legs and regs. And we come to your program and we just kind of review what you're doing. It's a really great chance to get an outside look at what your program is doing. And that outside look is coming from people that get what TRIO is about. And we have a formal set of questions that are believed to be close to what would happen if you had a true Department of Ed review. And so this is kind of in preparation for that. We all hope and dream that we will never, ever have an audit from the feds. But if you do, we want to, have as great a looking program as possible. And so that's where this peer review team comes in. There's no record of this review except between the review team and your program, your director and your program. We do have a formal write-up that we do that is given to the director to share with whoever they would like to on campus. And we also invite anybody that the director would like to have, any stakeholders on campus, to participate in some of the beginning and then exit interviewing of the process. It's usually over 2 days. We meet with your staff, we meet with you and your staff, we meet with your students. We look at your files, we look at your space, we tend to get a college tour. Just that whole kind of get a feeling for what it's like to be in your program. And then answer questions. If there's something you particularly would like us to look at when we come to visit your program, we can definitely take a closer look. We look through your grant, make sure that your grant proposal, make sure you're doing what you said you were doing, all those sorts of things. And so it's kind of like buddies helping buddies. It's, you know, having your other TRIO colleagues coming in and just offering free, well, not free, but advice. So if you're on the NAEOP website, there is a tab for peer review, and it talks about different types of review. The kind I'm describing is I can't remember the name of it, but it's the $750 one. That's how much we would charge your program. And then the program also pays for the cost of the travel to get the peer reviewers there. So you're paying NAEOP the $750, and then you're paying for the travel, and which includes food and lodging. And however you set that up with your review team, the review team is usually 2 people. Sometimes it's 3 if we have a new person learning how to be a peer reviewer. Part of that process is to observe a peer review. You have to have your program reviewed, you have to observe a peer review, and you have to have attended legislation and regulation training, whether it's an official one that's from one of the TRIO training grants, or a Department of Ed or a COE one, or sometimes different. We do them at different state or regional level conferences. So any of that meets those legs and regs training. Does that kind of answer what you're hoping me to answer or say, Victoria? And is there any questions?
Thank you so much, Christine. My battery's about to die, so I am running to another room. But I would love it if anybody else had questions.
Yeah, if you have any questions, or Josh, if you have something to add in, please don't hold back.
Yeah, I have a question. How long do the peer reviews take? I think we're scheduled for one sometime in February, because we do have a new advisor and a new program coordinator. And I guess you could say I'm the oldest kid on the block, and I'm just the office specialist. So a peer review, in my idea, would be fantastic, because that way we can see from the regs and legs to everything else, how it should work, how it is working, and what we need to do to get it up to speed so that it's better. So,
well, I do know that I've talked to Robin. I don't think we're doing this in February, because you're in Southern Oregon and nobody wants to drive to Ashland in February. So the weather is pretty shaky that time of year. But I do know that I can't remember exactly, we haven't talked for a month or 2 on this, Robin and I, but I know we did talk and we did set some possibles. And, but we probably, since you are where you are, and I mean, people could fly into Medford. It just kind of depends on who wants to do the peer review. So what I do is I have a list of reviewers, and I say, hey, I've got a program that's interested in getting reviewed. Here's who they are. Here's where they are. Who's interested? And people respond back. And then, you know, the first 2 get to go. And so I don't know exactly when Robin and I had thought about that, but I know it wasn't February, because, you know, Oregon in February, that's just not a pretty sight. So, but we will get out to you.
Fairbanks in February, Christine? I feel like it could be worse.
That probably could, but you know, what I'm willing to travel, and I wouldn't necessarily be the reviewer, but we do have you on the list, Luana. So we are getting to you. And Robin to talk about that is to say that, you know, you guys have a lot of turnover in your program right now, as we know, between Shane and Chris, and I know, you know, Robin coming on. We'll definitely get to you sometime here before the end of the academic year. But there is a form also on the website, and I do know Robin had filled it out on the NAEOP website, that is where you request a peer review. And then that goes right to my peer review email from NAEOP. And then I respond back and start making a plan. And then I got this giant spreadsheet of all the people that want things, and we got to figure out, mainly travel. Because right now we have a lot of people that are in the SSS programs that are peer reviewers, and a lot of talent search and upward bounds that are in the process of becoming reviewers. So it's to get all that matched up and working out. But I'm hoping that we get a lot of people covered this spring. So when the weather gets better for all of us, but you're on the list, Luana.
Thank you much.
You bet.
I'd like to add something if that's okay. As a new director, I think one of the things that really intimidated me when I came in was the spending. How do I know what's allowable, what's unallowable? The previous director was no longer here, and everyone kept saying, look at the CFRs, look at the CFRs. And they were very helpful, but they're also very broad. And so I really held back from spending funds. I didn't want to get in trouble for being out of compliance and going shopping or something. And so I will say that I don't know if you're aware, but there's the Department of Ed priority trainings, and you may have heard the legs and rigs here a few times. So legs and rigs are for the legislation and regulation of the spending of the grant funds and what you're allowed and not allowed to do. I would say that was for me one of the most important trainings, because it really helped me understand what I could do, how to justify our expenses and relate it to student support. And doing the in-person training was really good also for the discussions, and allowed me to ask questions. I know these trainings are also offered virtually. So if you don't have the funds, or you're looking to save funds to attend NAEOP or any COE or any of that, you could participate in these virtually. And I would say that for me was a very important training as well.
Just to maybe put a bow on Shane's training question. Yeah, I was going to bring up the priority trainings because they are free. Like, if you're not familiar, the TRIO trainings are their own grants. Like, institutions like Sonoma State or UNLV or Central Oklahoma, like, they all apply for these the same way we apply for our programs, and they're free for you to attend as far as registration. It's just travel costs. So my recommendation, I highly recommend legs and regs once you've probably done this for like a year. So like, your first year is probably more fun to go because there's like 6 numbers. So like number 4 is student financial aid, admission policies, procedures, financial economic literacy. Like, that really helps if you're like involved in advising and a specialist, right? Or number 5 is like recruiting and serving hard to reach populations. So those like immediately impact how you serve students. Those are like a great year one if your budget has funding for travel. And if not, like they said, these are usually virtual. Once you've kind of done it a year, then I would definitely recommend the legs and regs, because like if you go right out of the gate, it's just going to feel like absolute gibberish and nonsense, because you kind of don't fully understand all the technical aspects that go into your job. So once you have a little bit of understanding, then the legs and regs really can open your eyes to like why my boss is maybe saying no to certain things that I want to do. So yeah, the priority trainings are awesome. But I kind of agree, even as somebody who like runs our like state association like conference, it's awesome, but they're just tend to be smaller, a little more intimate. It's the regional one is just awesome because it's big enough to be high energy, a really good time. It's somewhere between 150 and 200 people, but also still like small and intimate. And particularly in the work that you all do, and you're kind of isolated more often than not. You don't always have a lot of peers, and it's just really amazing to be in spaces where like everybody gets your frustration of how nobody in your institution knows what you do. Or if you're in high school, is that like you're just this floating, free agent who kind of comes in, helps students and leaves, and you're finally in a space with a ton of like actual peers. So yeah, I would second both the priority trainings in terms of that realm and the free stuff, but also the NAEOP conference that's usually in October of every year.
Wow, that's super helpful. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
I think too, as a new director, you can look on your state's association, webpage, and see who the other directors are. So like if you're an upper bound director, you can see the other, shoot them an email, ask questions. Most everybody's here to help you out, because the goal is to have as many successful TRIO programs in our region as we can, serving as many students as we can. And so we definitely don't want you to ever feel like you are on your own as a new anybody in a TRIO program. So please, please reach out. Where nobody's going to say, no, I don't. They might say, no, we don't know the answer, but where you would probably say, but you should talk to so-and-so. They know this stuff really well. So I think that that's the other thing to make sure. And then I've heard good things about the new director's training. That is also one of those training seminar workshop things. And that's supposed to be pretty good. I've heard that people really got a lot out of that. I never attended one of those. I don't know if they really had them when I started to be a director or not, but I started off as an advisor in my program, so I came in a little differently. But I would say if you're an advisor or other staff member in TRIO and you're not a director, please go to the priority meetings or those conferences, because or those trainings. We did it as an office during COVID. So we all sat in the same room, spread out, of course, and we sat in a spare classroom because nobody was using them, and did the priority, I think it was 1 or 2 together. And so we could all discuss what we were talking about, and it helped the staff as a group sitting there doing that so much on figuring out why we can and can't do some things, instead of me as the director being like the mean person all the time saying, we can't do that, guys. And so that's another thing, because like you said, so many of them are virtual. To do that as an office and just take a couple of days and just, I think you serve students better when you have more knowledge about what you're supposed to be doing. So I think it's okay to close those doors at those 2 days and sit down and do that training together. We found it really beneficial.
I have a question, if that's okay. I just did the virtual priority 1 and 2 training, which was so helpful. And just like someone was saying, I was so glad that I had 6 months under my belt, because I couldn't have put any of that stuff in context if I had just jumped right in. So so I totally agree on that. I also want to do them again because there was so much information. Anyway, so I might do them again later in the year. So one of my questions, so we've had in our program, which is SSS, we've had a ton of turnover, including turnover of directors and going like a year without a director. So I don't want to say it's chaos, but there were so many different approaches to how to do things that were sort of like weaving in and out of each other, that one of the things that's been really hard to figure out is what is documentation. And I learned a lot from the priority 1 or 2, whichever one is record keeping. I learned a lot from that, but I just wondered what your approach is to what you keep and how you keep it so that you feel confident that you're in compliance with all your documentation of events, workshops, advising sessions, all that kind of thing. And do you use a system where you have students sign in basically anytime they have a contact with the program? This came up a bunch of times in my training. So I would love to hear how you all approach that.
I can answer some of that. I'm the office coordinator for TRIO Student Support Services in Southern Oregon. And we have an iPad that our students sign in on. And they use that to sign in on to Bloomin', whether they're coming to meet with their advisor, print something off, use the computers, have a tutoring session, whatever it is. If they sign in on that iPad, Bloomin' tracks it. And then at the end, you end up having to be the ability to generate a report, being able to show exactly what services were used, who came into the lab, what they did, who they saw, And right now, that's a really advantage to us. I don't know about it for student access. Some others might, because when I started here, we were in the process of getting ready to transition from student access to Bloomin' Online. So I hope my information helped you out some, Maria.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we use Bloomin' also. And when I did some Bloomin' training, learned that we could have a swipe system set up so they could swipe their student cards. So I'm going to look into that, or like an iPad or some other form of logging that into Bloomin'. Because honestly, we're not using Bloomin' to the extent that I realize, like I realized in doing the training, how deep that program can go. So we're really using it. In my opinion, we're not utilizing it enough.
I agree.
So,
I
yeah.
agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Thank you, Luana.
You're welcome.
I can add a little bit to that, Maria. You know, I'm a student support services program that has 2 grants, so classic and STEM. And we used to have a sign in similar to what Luana described about the student signs in directly into student access when they come into the office. But when we got the second grant, we got the second student access platform, we had to scrap that because it just wasn't possible to have a lab contact assistant for both grants in one space. It just wasn't working very well. So we actually switched to a Google form and the students use their student ID number to log in, and that's kind of their signature. It is a touchscreen computer at the front desk with a little, keyboard there. And it allows students to check in if they're using the food pantry, if they're coming in for computer use and so on. We've typically done advising appointments and tutoring appointments separately from that main sign-in. And we're being pushed now. I don't know if you guys are experiencing this too, but we're being pushed to use the EAB platform, the Navigate platform at our institution, to have all the communication recorded for advising appointments be through that. So we have been just primarily using student access to put our basically case notes into, and now we're being told we have to use NAEOP Navigator, which is the Navigate platform through EAB that the institution is using for all advisors. And so rather than duplicate that process, I'm at a crossroads right now, right? Like I have to find a way to do this in a way that isn't so onerous for advisors, but also satisfies the requirements for, our grant. So I'm currently in the process of trying to figure that out, like what that's going to look like. I'm guessing everything's going to go into the Google sign-in now, and we'll have contacts in student access, but they're just not going to be as detailed as what's in NAEOP Navigator. And like what's in NAEOP Navigator can be viewed by everybody at the institution. So we're not going to have all of our notes in there. We're going to have case notes in a digital file for students. I will say we're at the point where we're transitioning from paper to digital files. So we are kind of trying to get into that transition mode over this next semester and then over the summer. I did mention to Matt, I think it'd be great if we had like a NAEOP tech talk about transitioning from paper student files to digital student files, because I feel like that's something a lot of us are probably going through right now. But I think the important context to get are definitely those tutoring appointments, those advising appointments. If it's just an email about scheduling, we don't worry too much about that. That's not the most important thing. But those high impact practices that we're having with students, those are the things that matter the most to us to getting into the system. And so we kind of have like a internal prioritization of, what's the highest priority advising and tutoring contacts, what's second, utilizing computers in the office, laptop checkout, that kind of stuff, and so on, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Oh, I'm not familiar with EAB. Is that like a platform for your whole institution?
It's a student information system platform. They are kind of at the leading edge right now. One of the main ones that institutions are utilizing to streamline the student university interface, primarily for advising and for tutoring support and stuff like that. But it can make the process feel really impersonal because it's all going through this like auto-generated like case management platform. And that takes a lot of what we do in Trio out of it, like the heart of what we do. And it makes it really impersonal and mechanical and transactional. I just don't love that. So that's why we've always kind of like resisted, you know, this. But yeah, that's what the platform is.
Thank you.
We use Navigate here at Southern Oregon University, but we may be transitioning out of that soon because I think we're going into Workday. And I don't think we will be continuing with Navigate. Now, there is something that I did notice with Navigate right away. It was not user-friendly for Trio Student Support Services. The way that it was being used here on our campus, I wasn't able to see any of our students. And as the office coordinator, there's certain times that I have to send stuff out to the students without having to bother the advisors. And I had none of that capability. I did have a lot of it through Bloomin', but not through Navigate. But now they have put me in as a tutor, like a workaround. So that's how me as the office specialist are able to see a lot of it. But they may be getting away from that the more they're looking into phasing in overall system overall. And that's what we're considering doing here. So I'm not sure how much longer Navigate is going to be around, but I'd say maybe a year at least.
I just wanted to call attention to the chat where I think Matt put in that May is going to be our tech talk where we address transitioning from our hard copies to digital files. And I was going to give a quick pro tip, Shane, if you're like me and you don't have enough time to hit that webinar, you can always sign up for the webinar and get the materials emailed to you. And that's just been a life hack that I've done, especially with the boring US Department of Ed, where they're reading every word and paragraph off of those lengthy sheets of paper and stuff. So anyway, it's nicer for me to read that in my own time, but that helps me. Everything else is pretty interesting, but a recording is nice as well, so I can do it in my own time.
So I skipped over something earlier kind of quickly. Oh, am I frozen? Are you all still there? Okay.
We hear you.
Okay, good. So I skipped over something earlier, kind of just assuming that we were all on the same page with something, but I want to clarify. So NAEOP is the Northwest Association for Educational Opportunity Programs, but we have 4 states that are a part of that. And I believe all 4 states are represented right now. So we've got Alaska, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon. So those are the 4 states that are a part of NAEOP. And there's 9 other regions besides us in the nation. So there's a regional Trio association that exists for WestOp, which is the Western Association of Trio Professionals. There's one in the Southwest. There's a bunch in the middle section of the United States. So these regional associations exist all across the nation and into the Caribbean as well. Yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
And so there's like a listserv, right? Just a big email list that we put a lot of updates and information. I imagine most of you were on it. That's how you probably got the invite for this, but that link there gets you to our form on the website to sign up for it. But your state likely also has a list. I mean, they all do. I talked to the people who run the tech for all the states. So if you are not getting updates or information on even stuff within your own state, that can be a really good way to do it. Even just like job postings, right? Like it's much easier to follow the local stuff on either the state or regional site than try to navigate like at a big national level. So, and there's not like tons of, honestly, I'm the one who probably posts more than any human being on both of them, at least when it comes to Oregon and NAEOP. So as long as you don't mind getting emails from me a few times a month, like it doesn't fill up your inbox. And Maria, did we kind of address all the areas as far as like documentation that you kind of had?
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that came up a lot in the training was about shifting from paper to digital. And honestly, when I started at Trio, I could not believe how much paper was going on. I was kind of shocked. So I see a way for us to move completely away from that, but it is going to take some doing because that method is kind of firmly entrenched at this point. And anyway, so that's one of my big projects for the next year.
Wonderful. I know there was a lot of it had to do with just Department of Ed. They were like so adamant about like physical signatures for the longest of time. And then it wasn't until the pandemic hit and that literally was just not possible. And we were still providing services that they finally like loosened up and really allowed more to that digital version. So I think it has opened a new frontier that we're all trying to figure out how to navigate and adapt into. So there's very much a lot of like new frontiers and best practices like still being developed about how to do that.
That's probably what caused this change, because with everything being hard copies, we weren't able to take stuff home to work on. Yeah.
So we're talking a lot about like the logistics and the mechanics of our work, but does anybody have any questions about leadership as a whole in Trio, or anybody curious about how we all ended up where we are today, all the crazy paths that we take to the roles that we have?
I am okay. Thank you for all the information, Victoria. I think it's very helpful to know more details about what is NAEOP, served to all the people who work with students. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing to keep in mind is that every person on the NAEOP board probably served on a state board. So for each state, there is a Trio association. Obviously, Oregon has the golden ticket of a paid position in that role, with Matt being executive director. That's a unique thing. That's a really beautiful thing. And if you don't know already, we are only one of two Trio associations. One is a regional association, and this what Matt does is at the state level, but one of two in the entire nation to have a paid position for our nonprofit board at the at this level. And so it's a really cool opportunity for us and something that we can be really proud of as a region. But the best way to first get involved is to reach out to your state president, whether that in Washington, that's Veronica Guadarrama for WSTA. In Oregon, that's Chris, he's on the call today. For Alaska, that's Adam Lau, and he's up at the University of Alaska Fairbanks with me. We're a really small state. We only have 9 Trio programs. So a lot of our meetings are mostly like Google chats back and forth with one another. So it's very low key in comparison with, large Trio, large state Trio meetings that we see in Washington and Idaho and Oregon. And then in Idaho, we have Amy Christensen, who's just moved into the president role. And so each of those people, if you haven't met them already, I highly encourage reaching out and just saying hello. I in my professional trajectory didn't have that opportunity. I really just showed up the first day of work and they were like, "You're going to be Alaska state president." And I was like, "Okay, all right, I just got this job. Like I just became an advisor and now I'm doing what? So I definitely learned very quickly how all of this works, but I think, you know, being open to going with the flow and trusting the process as much as you can, and knowing that you know, having somebody in the role is better than not having anybody in the role almost all the time. And that we all do this work out of the, you know, the deep passion that we have for the students that we serve. And so, you know, I talk about it in a way where I'm like, I don't know how I ended up here, but I mean, like, obviously I put in the time and effort and cared enough that people kept asking me to come back. And so I will say I'm one of the youngest TRIO professionals to be president of our regional association. In the past, it's been, you know, somebody further along in their careers. Josh was the youngest before me. I think we are, you know, kind of younger in our professional experience, but also, you know, maybe have some different perspectives than folks in the past. And I think the combination of those two things, right, the TRIO professionals that have the longevity in the field, but also these newer TRIO professionals, together we can really be adaptive to our current environment, but also not lose track of our history and our context and why we do what we do. So that's kind of how I started with all of this. I will say TRIO professional development opportunities, whenever you see them, you grab them, because at my institution, I don't get anything else. Like TRIO is the place where I get my cup filled, both in a professional development capacity, but also just like interpersonal interactions with people who all care about the same stuff that I care about. So I will say that is the one thing that binds me together with all of the people in this room, I would imagine. Yeah, so that's my thought. I know, Jeff, your trajectory is much different than mine. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about your experience too.
Thank you. It's nice following the youngest member of the presidency of NAEOP. I am the oldest member that's ever lived in NAEOP. I don't know. I feel like it sometimes. But that, well said, Victoria. That's a great path that you mentioned. Similarly, I came from, I was a regional representative in Oregon. Easy for me to say on this, feels like Friday. A regional rep in Oregon, and then I became a president in Oregon, state president, and did like a term and a half, and we realized really quickly, oh my gosh, we need to organize our Oregon TRIO Association better, like they do in Washington, Idaho, and Alaska. And so, gosh, that was like 10, 12 years ago. And fast forward to today, we each take a turn. And so I was president-elect last year. Now I'm president. Next year I'll be past president. We have Dina Ibarra as president-elect, me and Victoria as past president this full year. We have an incredibly professional board of directors with various positions on it. It's a great, I've learned more in leadership and nationally about education than I've ever in my life. It's such a bigger picture being at the regional leadership level, and it is at the state level, because then you serve on the regional board. So like we do that with state presidents serving on the NAEOP board, we are all part of, the three presidents are part of the national board of directors at COE. So it's nice because we can report back and share back all the good information that we glean and save for our region, because we happen to believe, and we are biased, that the Northwest is the best region of all. And
you're not wrong, Jeff.
Well, I do want to toot our NAEOP horn really quickly, and I realize we're running out of time, but really quickly, the things that we excel at as a region are, we all pay our fair share to the COE organization, and we've been recognized as the leader in that front. We've also been recognized as a leader for sending students overseas with various different learning opportunities for our students. And so the other pieces are, we have a very unique system of leadership out here in NAEOP, and especially with Oregon. But it's just our region. We're collaborators, and they look at us from across the country and say, wow, we'd love to have that level of participation and collaboration that you all do. What do you do? Well, things like this, things like that Matt's organized with NAEOP as our Tech Talks monthly. We have our affinity groups for advisors, directors, monthly talks as well. And if there's any way we can get you plugged into TRIO and to help better serve students, we're 100% on board with that programming. So just let us know if you have any more questions after we go offline here. I put my email in the chat. Seriously, reach out to me and I will get back to you. Even if I'm on break, I love having no email boundaries. No. But anyway, I'll turn it back over to Matt. Right, we're closing up at 4. Matty, is that correct?
Yeah, we can do that. And I think just to wrap up, I mean, a lot of what they're doing is encouraging you to like keep going. Like, you know, you all have jobs, you're new to the TRIO, like you're trying to just get a sense of that. And like that's your main job, but like there are these other communities that exist out here to help you, support you, fill your cup, connect you to like-minded people. And like a lot of the best ideas I've gotten have been from like Josh Engler at like a conference, or like just other peers, right? When I was an upper bound advisor, and just learning from other things people do all around the region. So I'm really plug into these spaces. And, you know, the last thing I would say is there's not like one type of leader, right? Like when it comes to the work you do, whether you're an admin assistant, an advisor, like you just need to bring your own strengths, be your authentic self, and you can be effective in those spaces if you can be authentic. And like it works that way at your state and region as well. Like you all have strengths, you have things you can bring to the table that would make all these associations much stronger. Like just because you don't love being up in front of the room doesn't mean that you can't still serve in these spaces. So yeah, we're all here to just support you, create opportunities for you, help provide professional development. So with that, if you need to take off, you can definitely do so. I'm probably not going to shut the call off until everyone kind of leaves here. So if you want to linger for a second and just have any final questions, you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, I appreciate you all taking some time out of your day, and we hope to just see you around on more of these calls and at conferences in the future. Do not hesitate to come up and just introduce yourself and say hi if we're ever in those spaces together.
Just want to say thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. Happy holidays, everyone. I've got to go to another meeting, but I'll see you hopefully soon on here. Take care.
Happy holidays, everyone. Natasha here. I just have one quick question. Should I continue to reach out to Ann Vu? I did send her an email and it says that she's, of course, out for the holidays, but should I continue to follow up with her so that I can get developed in my role?
Natasha, I sent you an email while we were on this call. Please.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, join Victoria, myself, and Dina if you can. If you can't, I'll be your contact person, and I'm itching to get a meeting with you before we go to the board work in January. But yeah,
absolutely.
Anne is actually out of the country through the holidays.
Yes. Okay, perfect. I'll look at that email and then respond appropriately. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks,
just quickly, Natasha, quickly.
Yes.
Usually I would transition all like the Google access so you can get access to drives and stuff. I'm leaving it as is with the hope that you both can kind of have access, right? As Anne's kind of sticking around, and then you'll just kind of be able to like change the password or whatever. So the reason I haven't sent you all the login stuff for that is just because I was hoping Anne could kind of share that and you guys could just kind of overlap for this little bit. She's still on board. But if there's anything at all, Jeff, you included, like if you need help getting access to that stuff, just let me know and I'll jump right on it.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Thanks. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks.
Good night.
Have a great transition, Natasha.
Thank you, Jeff. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, fellas.
Matt, thank you for helping head this up and for your leadership. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah,
was-
it was really good.
Even just like the intros, it's just like new people. This is fun.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
you've done you've done an incredible job. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Let's stop this. I will see you around, John.